Welcome to Here Where You Belong, your go-to podcast for exploring belonging with your host and belonging expert, Dia Irby. We are thrilled to have you join us. Together, we'll dive into the depths of what it means for each of us to find our own place in the world, whether it's within our communities, our relationships, or within ourselves. Today's episode is meant to inspire, uplift, and remind you that no matter where you are or where you're headed, you have a place where you truly belong. So grab a cozy spot and settle in. Welcome to Here Where You Belong.
Hello, awesome belongers. Welcome home to Here Where You Belong podcast. Today's guest is someone who proves that success isn't just about numbers. It's about people, purpose, and creating spaces where others feel seen and supported. I'm Dia, your host. Get ready to be inspired and blessed. Help me welcome our guest today, Paden Squires. Hey there, Paden.
Hey, Dia. Well, thank you very much for having me on the show. I'm excited to be here.
So glad you're here. Now, let me tell you a bit more about our guest. Paden Squires is a CPA, a CFP, and the founder of Squires Tax Planning. He specializes in helping entrepreneurs simplify tax and financial strategies, and he's the host of Behind Their Success podcast. Ooh, another podcast to listen to, where he dives deep into stories of growth, mindset, and impact. He works with business owners across the country to help them gain financial clarity, make smarter decisions, who doesn't need to do that, and feel more confident about their future. Paden believes that business ownership doesn't have to feel overwhelming, and he uses real-life stories and relatable insights to make complex ideas simple and actionable. As someone who didn't follow the expected path, Paden knows the importance of belonging, of creating spaces where people feel valued, not for what they do, but for who they are. Whether through his firm or his podcast, he's helping others find confidence, connection, and community along their journey. Paden, any additions, subtractions, or corrections?
Yeah, that was amazing. That might have been the best introduction I've ever had in my life.
Ooh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, no, that was great. The only thing I'd add, husband, father of 3 small kids, love my family. And yeah, that was a great introduction.
Oh, yeah, those are important factors too, because that's where the belonging starts in that small family community. As you know, this is a podcast about belonging, and I've invited you on here to tell us your story of belonging, either how you found it yourself or how you're providing it for other people, or you may have both. So the mic's yours. Take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Dia. I appreciate that. So, kind of telling my story of I grew up, central Missouri. I'm a pretty rural area of central Missouri. I grew up in a town of about 1,000 people right on the Missouri River. I grew up in a single mom household. So I had my dad, who was kind of in and out of our family. And so anyway, we grew up a single mom household, me and my sister. We kind of had some financial instability, going through that. My mom would work multiple jobs. She got her master's degree at night. So she was really hustling. But at the same time, we faced, some financial insecurity as a kid. And that, ultimately that's what really drove me into the career I got into, and I really didn't even realize that at the time of going through college and stuff, that was probably my motivating factor. But like looking back at it, I can clearly remember a time when I don't know, I was probably 10, 12 years old, and my mom getting laid off from her job and coming home and like being very concerned, and my grandma being there and asking like, how are you going to buy groceries? And, as a, like a 10-year-old boy just sitting there in the room, that was burned into my brain. And I knew it's like, I don't ever want to face that, right? Like, I don't want to be poor. And that, as like unnoble of a goal, maybe that really is what motivated me to get into, financial stuff. And that's what, got me into it in college. I studied, accounting and finance. Ultimately, I was graduating from college. I was coming out in the middle of like the 08, 09 kind of financial crisis. So everybody in my industry was getting fired from work at the time. So I ended up just going back to school and getting a master's degree. I got an MBA. Kind of studied through that. I ended up getting, some banking jobs. I worked a few different jobs. Quickly found out like I wasn't being an employee wasn't really I wasn't cut out to be an employee. Like I said, I was a good employee. I did a good job. All my bosses would say I was, a great employee, but I didn't like it at all. I didn't like being on someone else's schedule. I didn't like someone telling me I had to just go sit in a cubicle for 40 hours a week, even if I didn't have anything to do. And so when I was sitting there in the cubicle one day, I decided I wanted to get my CPA. So I sat there and I studied for my CPA license for about 2 years. Well, it was about an 8-month process, but I studied. Like I said, I had a corporate job working for a huge corporation, and I probably had about 8 hours of work a week that I actually had to do. And so the rest of the time I was just sitting there in my cubicle with nothing to do. And so I spent that time to study. I took advantage of it. I listened to CPA audio all the time, studied. I passed all 4 parts of the CPA exam in about 8 months while working full time. And I didn't tell my boss I was doing it until I had passed my 3rd exam.
Good call. I think that was probably wise.
I didn't want him to
would you
know because they
find your
knew,
study
they
time?
knew I wasn't long for the place as soon as they told them. So like, that's why I was like, well, let me pass 3 of them. Then I'm like, then I'll finally tell you my plan. What I'm doing.
Yes.
So, I finally did. And, from there I got my CPA. I ended up, opening up my own firm, in 2014 in my living room of my house in my tiny little town. And luckily I've grown it for years, a lot of hard work, a lot of hustle, a lot of flailing around, figuring things out because I didn't know what I was doing, building and running a business, like I could do all of that in, so shorter amount of time now because I know so much more, right? Like could skip so many steps, but, struggled for, I would say struggled. I mean, I consistently grew the business for for the last 10 years. We've grown it. And, really what I love doing about working in the numbers industry is really helping. Yes, we're good at numbers and we're good at financial planning and all those different things, but really like what I think separates us in our firm is besides being the proactive planner is that, we care about people and we care about the relationships, and we're very good at taking care of the person, not just, not just the numbers and the finances of all
Well,
this.
can I just say that that from my perception, that is an unusual, because usually numbers people are like details numbers.
Yeah,
And
not
people
emotion, right? Like not connection.
are people and not detail oriented.
Yeah. So, I'm a bit of a rare bird. I've done
Yes,
a lot of different
I see that.
I've done a lot of different personality and tests and stuff. So I'm actually, I have the detail, like, I have the high detail, but I also have the high sociability. And actually my leading trait is social ability. My detail's kind of slightly behind it. Accountants generally are just like all detail and really not necessarily the social ability is generally an accountant's personality. And that's why, customer service in the industry is usually pretty bad. and it's just because yeah, that's not the skill set. But what we really try to focus on, like like what I said, what makes us different is we really try to focus on being the proactive planner. We work with our clients throughout the year, not just tax prep time. We're meeting on a quarterly basis and strategically planning and helping them make all kinds of moves to actually save money in taxes is really what we do there. But what's really important to us is that relationship. We're coming in as, not just accountants, but like we're consultants, we're advisors. A lot of our clients ultimately honestly become friends and that kind of thing. And it's kind of finding, relationships that where we can add a whole lot of value and
Is
also.
it, do you feel like maybe you're being the person for your clients that you wish someone could have been for your mom?
Yeah, and we've had conversations about that, in our team even, we recently we had an executive coach in here around Labor Day or so, and we were talking about that. Okay, like what's the story of Squires tax planning, right? Like where'd it come from, right? And we've kind of got, people on my team kind of know my origin story, right?
Right.
But then it's even like, to some degree, it's a struggle of thinking like, okay, well, Paden's motivation or whatever comes back to single moms and stuff like that. But then it's like, okay, well, generally our client base is generally not single moms, right? Like we're helping people that business owners and stuff, not that single moms can't be business owners, but people with moving and shaking and lots of stuff going on, right? But then it's thinking about, okay, well, if that's our story and that's our motivation, it's like, okay, well, we can serve these these business clients and whatnot, and that will give us the resources and the ability to actually then in turn go serve maybe these other populations in similar ways, or even through donations or whatever, right, through time or whatnot. Yeah.
Do you have a story about a client, and you can change the name to
Sure.
to protect the guilty? but a story of how your process
Yeah.
has helped someone in their business and helped them feel like, well, they belong to their own business or.
Yeah, yeah. I got lots of stories of us coming into businesses that are established businesses, and us coming in and doing providing a few strategic insights that lead to 10, 20, $30,000 in tax savings. That stuff kind of that's not abnormal. To be quite honest with you, because there's just really nobody looking at the stuff kind of from a strategic vantage point. But like what's really cool for me, and this is something that's happened fairly recently, but I had an associate, somebody I know that honestly her daughter was killed tragically, and it's not somebody that we would have like is necessarily like an ideal client or somebody that would even be working with us on an ongoing basis, but I've known them, and crazy tragic thing. And it was really neat for me to have the ability, because to be able to walk into that situation and to be able to help and provide a lot of advice around, even insurance proceeds and different things. And not that I got any compensation or anything like that, but it was me, like this was such like a tragic thing that like the whole community's aware of what happened, and it was very public and different things. And it's just really cool that I get to be in there and provide some level of solace and advice and comfort in times like that, because as the money guy, like I'm involved in all kinds of awkward conversations like that. Usually I'm involved in tragedy and divorce or death, or we're involved in a lot of tough conversations that are revolved around money. And it's nice to be able to, I've been in so many rooms like that. It's nice to be able to like to be able to create a space to have those types of conversations. Yeah.
Well, having the relationship and understanding that you're dealing with people and not just a paper with numbers makes the uncomfortable conversations, I would think, easier to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
or
yeah.
the person feels better.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes, yeah. I mean, like it's
You have to have bedside manner.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Well, it's kind of like, I don't
A
know.
doctor delivering, well, you have cancer and you're going to die next week.
Yeah.
That's one way to say it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like a difference. I was going to say it's kind of like a difference between a doctor and a nurse, like generally, right? Like nurses are generally trained on like bedside manner more often than doctors per se. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I got to deliver like quote unquote bad news, fairly regularly. But it's like I'm skilled enough in human communication and psychology and stuff now that where I'm like I can do it and try to make you feel a little less bad about it when I have to deliver.
They don't even know that you did surgery on them.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, hey, I just
give me an example of bad news. Like stock investments all gone.
Well, bad news, like I don't know. I had a client, yesterday was extended tax deadline. If you extend your taxes from April, you got till October 15th, right, to file. I had a client that was just up against it, getting me everything and whatnot, and I had to tell them just the other day they owed $330,000.
That is bad news.
Yeah, and so yeah. Anyway, without going into any of it, like, yeah, I mean, having money conversations like that, that's so old news to me at this point, where it's like, what I mean, like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, I didn't think you knew that was coming. It's yeah.
Well, one quick question, which hopefully is not going to take another 15 minutes, but you started in your home.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've moved out and you have an office maybe now that you're married and have 3 kids. How do you maintain the community and belonging of your family and keep your business going? Where do you get that?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Yeah, family and all the other areas of my life are extremely important to me, other than, just my business. Yes, I definitely identify myself as a business owner, entrepreneur. I love the game of business, right? I love playing the game of business. But that being said, like, I'm very concentrated in all the areas of my life. Like I don't really like the term work-life balance, because I feel like it's like that term makes you like think you got to trade things or trade off or whatever. Right?
I don't think it's a genuine thing. I don't think.
Yeah, no, it's like I got to take away from this to add to that, and it's like no, it's like okay, let's intelligently think about what we want in our lives, and then design our day-to-day life to be whatever that is, right? And so, yeah, luckily I didn't think a lot like that earlier in my career, say the first 5, 8 years of my business. I got around a lot of other great entrepreneurs, which has been amazing, like high level entrepreneurs that were quite a few steps ahead of me. So they showed me what was possible and made me realize that like they're not necessarily any different than I am. They're just normal people too, right? And so they helped me getting around successful people makes you realize how much you could do if you really wanted to. And then two, like the awesome thing about that group is it's not just business focused. I mean, we all are very much businessmen, but I mean, a lot of it's built around marriage and family, and like we do family trips and we do all these things to where it's like,
That's
hey,
awesome.
you're a holistic person. Like there's plenty of
Correct.
business owners that have an amazing business and their life is a disaster.
I know. And that's the most unfortunate. This is awesome, but we're going to take a quick break and be right back with our fabulous guest, Paden Squires. Be right back. Hey there! Isn't my guest amazing? So glad you joined us today. In this world that often feels disconnected, building community and fostering belonging are essential. That's why I created this podcast, to bring inspiring people to you, to encourage you to create that sense of belonging and community, no matter where you are. If you're being blessed by my guest, and we have some more, like, subscribe, and share this podcast. You know who needs to hear this. Stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember, you belong. Now, back to our amazing guest. And we're back with Paden Squires and all his wisdom and details and peopleness. On the second half of this podcast, if you've heard any of them, you know I have my 3 favorite questions, and I'm going to bring them to Paden today. So, Paden, what do you consider is your greatest accomplishment?
Greatest accomplishment, I'm going to go with being a father. I'm going to go with being a father to my 3 kids. Interesting enough, you going back to my story of my childhood. I had a dad that struggled with a lot of things, and he couldn't get out of his own way in a lot of ways. And many ways I've made it my life's mission to give my kids, I don't say give them things, but like to be what I didn't have, as a kid, and to really provide that presence and that dad masculine energy, whatever you want to call it, to the household. So one, my daughters, the stats around daughters and not having fathers in their lives and what that ultimately turns into is bad. And two, I had my 2 daughters first, and then I had a son, which is actually even, getting really vulnerable. It was actually a little uncomfortable for me to have like a son because that dad relate, you know what I mean? Like I didn't necessarily have that because, I grew up, I had nieces and stuff. So I was around, small girls and stuff and was comfortable with all that. But it was the son, and getting that kind of relationship was new for me. And it's been amazing. I love my son, unbelievable. But that's really, of course, my I say just my kids, but my relationship with my wife as well is even more important. But my kids are very, very important to me.
I really have a hard time understanding, although if somebody doesn't want children, please don't have them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it gives you a whole new perspective on the world, to look at the world through a child's eyes and to see anew how fascinated they are. They could spend 30 minutes watching a bug crawl on a blade of grass, and we would have just stepped on it and moved on.
Yeah. Yeah. In many ways, we get life kind of beat out of us, as we grow up, and we become less curious. And that is, I think, the biggest problem is people become less curious about the world. And kids are always curious about stuff.
Always curious.
Asking
Yes, they
questions.
always ask questions. They always
That's
ask.
why they're happy. Happier is what I would tell you.
Yes, yes. So, have any tips for fathers?
You know, tips for fathers. I'm probably the last guy you should be asking, but
Well, you can compare. You want your kids to feel like they belong in the family.
yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%.
And what it's like not to have the dad. And
Mhm.
so I know that you have intentionally done things
Yeah.
to be the father you want them to have.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. And my wife grew up similar situation where, she's single mom, and so it's both very, very important, to both of us. Um, tips, it's just be wherever your feet are, actually be there. You know what I mean? In today's world, it's so easy to not be where your body is, like mentally, is what I'm saying. And
I
it's so
love
easy.
that. Be where your feet are,
Yeah.
be
So
present.
yeah,
But
it's so easy as business owners, even when you're home, is just sitting there on your phone and, like, you know what I mean. There's always emails, whatever you have going on in your life. It's so easy to be just always doing that. I mean, I could be working 24/7 if I want, you know what I mean, if I wanted to. Like, there's always something
do
to be doing.
you train your clients? Because we teach people how to treat us.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you train your clients that this is family time and my office that I will respond
Yeah.
tomorrow? If you
Yeah, and our clients understand that. And they, for the most part, they do, and are, we, like I said, we have good relationships with people, so they, you know what I mean. We're
right,
we're we're in a good place there. But I think it's it's me because, like, when I say I'm a business guy, I love the game of business. Like, I could play it all the time. So you know what I mean. Like, I can be strategizing, thinking about it in my head all the time. Like, okay, what am I going to do in the next 60 days or whatever. So, like, that's what I mean by, like, I could be sitting there on the couch, but I'm not there at all, right?
right. Oh, yeah, that is very common. Do you do daddy daughter dates?
Yeah, we've done some of those. We have the dances that get to come up every once in a while. And the cool thing is, my girls they're like one grade apart. They're only 15 months apart. So they everybody thinks they're twins. They look pretty much the same. And yeah, that's
Repeat and
very special
repeat.
too.
Hmm. Well, my son is a financial advisor,
Mhm.
and he's got his first two were girls, and then he had two boys. But he takes one at a time. He will take them out for
Yeah, I
breakfast.
think yeah, see, I love that. I love that. I try to find times to peel one of them off at a time because I think that's very important because it's like children survive. Like, they literally need your attention. Like, we need attention to survive, like a baby does. And
Hmm.
and your children, like, the reason you have, like, sibling rivalries is because they're all, like, they want mom and dad's attention, right? And they're fighting for mom and dad's attention. And so, like, yeah, I think it's really cool when parents take, especially when you have multiple kids, is take one of them, off and make them feel special and get that one-on-one time with you for sure.
Exactly. And especially with daughters and dads, you
Huge, very
are
important relationship.
you are teaching your daughter how a man should treat her. And you're teaching her how to choose a future mate, a relationship.
Yeah,
And if a father can pour into a daughter how valuable, how beautiful, how self-reliant, how powerful she is, and that she is all she needs,
yeah,
she's not going to
huge.
be a codependent, needy person looking for somebody to
That
give her
needs a
attention.
man. Yeah, that you know what I mean. That ultimately just ends up with, a man that'll promise to take care of her, or what, depending on whatever, you know what I mean. Like, you can get yourself in really bad circumstances there. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So kudos to
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
And
absolutely. And that's, yeah. And like I said, even talk to my wife, about my, not to make this about my wife's story, but, like, she was kind of like that, right? That, the classic girl that doesn't have a father, and yeah, you want to scare yourself. You have daughters, go look at the stats of, about daughters that don't necessarily have a father in their life. And, like, statistically, it's pretty bad.
yeah, it's not good. It's not good. And of course, you're teaching your son how to be a man
Trying to
and how to provide for the family and how to uh, take
just
risk
lead. Yeah, and lead,
and lead.
and take
Yes.
and take on responsibility.
I mean, he's only 6, but
Yeah, he's amazing too.
just turned 6.
Yeah, yeah. 2 days ago, 6-year-old.
But you just have no clue. My that my son's firstborn son, uh, before he turned 3, he was almost 3, but he wasn't 3. He you just don't know what they're able to envision. He said to his dad, Dad, when I grow up, I'm gonna win the Masters. And
That
he
would be
would go
awesome.
in the backyard and practice with his plastic golf club,
Yeah.
hitting the plastic wiffle ball over and over and over. They already can have vision and passion, and we just need to, all of our children need to give them the freedom to
Yeah.
explore the dreams.
Yeah, and encouragement. You know what I mean? Like, I think so many people actually just need so little encouragement to go do something. And the sad thing is most people never get it.
I
And
know.
like it can be life changing just to encourage somebody and say, "Hey, I believe in you." Like some people they're sitting on the sidelines and that's literally all they need to go move forward.
Yeah. And it is sad that so many people have gone through life and never had any one person say, I believe in you.
Hmm. And
Oh,
that's what I
wow.
see, and that's what's so important to me is like that's the besides I love you, like me just telling my kids how powerful they can be. You know what I mean? And are right, like just from a human standpoint of like you can. Yeah, I just tell them how special and how powerful and how amazing they can be. Now it takes a lot of hard work, and if you want to go get something, it's like, hey, there's
Go for it.
sacrifice and hard work, but like you can absolutely do it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Second question. What makes you feel like you belong?
Hmm. For me, it's I think really just I had somebody asked me a similar question of that before, and it was like kind of asking me like how I like to be celebrated, or if I accomplish something, how does somebody, yeah, how do I want to be celebrated, right? And for me, like it's really just a private word of thank you. You know what I mean? Like of affirmation of like, hey, you did a good job. And that's really it. Because the more I realize like that's all I've ever been chasing anyway for years and I think it was about money or building a business and whatever. Now I was just really just trying to prove my own worth and my own value, right? Um
That is
it,
a common. I think we
yeah, I
all
mean,
hear that.
yeah, yeah, especially, somebody maybe that, my background coming as a single mom and, certainly feelings of abandonment and whatnot, I've spent my whole life trying to prove my value, right? And my worth,
Well,
right?
to yourself, if not
Yeah,
any.
yeah, yeah. Or even to my father that passed away 14 years ago. So, you know what I
Oh,
mean? Like, it
if he could see me now.
yeah, and so many of us are running around, especially high achievers. High achievers are generally because they have some major, and this isn't everybody, but like they generally have some major trauma in their background that has driven them to be, this kind of anxious, achieving person that's always moving and getting stuff done. It at least in the business owners I run around with, the ones that are really successful and accomplish the stuff, they got a whole lot of like, traumas in their past, and that's what's like made them who they are.
So we should be thankful for the hard times that make us want to be more than we are.
Well, I mean, it you can't have one without the other. You know what I
Right.
mean? You can't have good without bad. You can't have dark without light. Like, you know what I mean? It's the yin and the yang of the
Mhm.
world. You
Can be
can't.
your stumbling block or your stepping stone.
Yeah, I mean, and like every experience is a learning experience. Like you either succeeded at what you wanted or you learned something new. Um,
Right.
so
Yeah.
like every what it's even, you even look at biblically, you look at Proverbs, it's like, like all work is for a profit, right? Like the work does more work on you than you do on it. Like you are like all
Mhm.
work is profitable because you become something out of it, right? Like
That is a good perspective. I have not heard that.
yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like, that, and that's kind of what, at least my interpretation of the proverb there of like, it's work works on you more than you work on work. Right. Like, and ultimately, like the product is you, not whatever you're working. Right. Like, because you're developing yourself. and you get to always keep yourself. You know what I mean? Like you live with
Right,
yourself,
right. You
right? Like
take you along with you.
yeah, the outcomes of whatever you're working on, honestly, are less important than whatever you're becoming.
Your being. We're human beings, not human doings.
100%. Yep.
Right.
And yeah, and if you're a typical entrepreneur wired person, you're very good at doing and not necessarily good at being.
It is, you do have to intentionally stop and say, am I being? And it goes back to the being present. Be where your feet are. Am I being, or am I doing parenting? Am I doing marriage, or am I being a partner? Am I being a leader? It's so easy to just not be there doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so like just the distract. I think that is one of the biggest issues in today's world, and it cuts across business, it cuts across everything, where it's just um everybody's distracted 100% of the time. And
More so than ever with all of our digital
yeah,
ability
yeah,
to
yeah. I mean,
distract.
it's distractions galore. Like it's amazing. Like in the business world, like I honestly believe it's never been easier to be successful, for two reasons. One, the tools are amazing. Like you have amazing free, cheap tools slash mentors, resources galore out there to tell you everything you need, step by step, what you need to do. I mean, it's just
Right.
free on the internet. And then and then so you got resources galore, and I just lost my second point that I just meant.
Oh no, we'll never know the second reason it's easiest to be successful.
Well, and the other reason is because it's just like the bar set pretty low. Like everybody's distracted out of their minds. Like it's not that hard to work circles around people if you just focus on it.
If you work.
Yeah, if you actually work, and like you go into an office anywhere in this country, and just, like most office workers, like how much do they really work? Like,
Right.
out of the 8-hour day, like, at least 3 of it's talking to somebody else in the office, another hour just like wandering around. Like, and I'm not saying that to throw any employee, it is what it is, but like, it just shows you how much time all humans waste that is just on frivolous, unimportant things of like moving the needle forward of anything in your life.
Right. Right. I was challenged recently at a training to get a log sheet and write down for 2 weeks every 15
I'm on it.
minutes
Yep.
what I'm doing for every 15 minutes
Yeah.
every day.
Yep.
And then go back and look and see
It might
what.
make you cringe if you actually did that.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Because,
But
and here's the thing, it's it's amazing. Like, so I did a workout program earlier this summer called 75 Hard, and it's just like all these different tasks. Like you got to work out twice a day, you got to drink a gallon of water, you got to read a book, you got to do all these things like every single day for 75 days straight. And it's amazing when you get locked in on that and you're focused on those, say 5 or 6 tasks, you'll actually realize how much time you really have. And you realize how many things are in like that are really just that you do like habitually or whatever that really doesn't add any value or anything to your life that you can cut out without any issues whatsoever. And you realize like how much time you truly waste. And if you don't believe that, pull up your phone, go look at the timers on it, and tell me how many hours a day you spend on social media on it. And then tell me again with a straight face that you don't have time.
right, right. Oh, wow. So good, so good. The final question. What is your favorite quote?
Yeah,
You may have multiple
I
quotes.
have lots
Pick
of them.
one.
Yeah, I read a lot, listen to a lot of podcasts, so I love, all these things. One of my favorites, one of my all-time favorites, Ben Franklin, intellectual hero of mine. Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. That man was he was world famous in the 1700s, which is like I'm not even sure how that's possible.
I know.
He was
What? Without internet? How did
yeah, I mean,
everybody
like,
in the world know
but he
him?
was that much of an amazing intellectual and inventor and whatnot, and then he ultimately inspired another hero of mine, Charlie Munger, who was like Warren Buffett's kind of right hand investing guy for forever. But he said there's three things that'll take down a man, and it's liquor, ladies, and leverage. He's always leverages financial debt, but not. But like he was such a wise man, and they're very pithy, and they have all these really quotes where you're just like, wow, these guys are smart. But yeah, anything by Ben Franklin and Charlie Munger is my favorite.
Those are wise words.
Yeah.
Early to bed, early to rise. Well, the early to rise part almost happens automatically when you have little people.
Go to early bed.
In your
Yeah.
house.
When also when you go early to bed, right? Like, well, or somebody's like, oh, I'm having trouble sleeping. Well, what's the best way to fix that? Well, get up super early the next day, and then probably the next day you won't have trouble sleeping.
Oh, that is a good tip. Get up way early so that you'll be tired.
You'll be super tired that night. Yeah, I promise you.
Yes, right. You can teach your body to go to sleep, wake up.
Yeah, I'm on a cyclical right now. Like I don't even have an alarm clock, and I get up at 4:15 every morning. Like seriously, my body snaps awake every single morning at 4:15. Because I'm in such like a routine guy that like no joke.
Sounds like it.
I snap awake even if I go to bed at midnight, my body will still wake up at 4:15.
Well, you are living the early to bed, early to rise thing. I see that. Thank you for answering my 3 questions. That was very enlightening. So before we close, do you have any parting words for our listeners?
Yeah, my only piece of advice to people is take some time and figure out what you want, right? Take some time to actually do a little planning and think of goals that you want. What do you want out of your life, right? Like you're the artist of your life. What do you want? Because if you can actually figure that out, and adults are terrible at it. By the way, kids are awesome at it. They'll give you a whole list of things they want. Adults can't name.
They don't know limitations.
Yeah, well, you ask an adult, they're like, oh, I don't know. And like a kid will give you 1,000 things. But the amazing thing is that once you know what you actually want, you can easily make a plan to get it. You know what I mean? And you can figure out the actionable steps to actually accomplish it. But most people just don't even do the first thing. They don't even know what they want.
Well, it's like deciding, I want to go on a trip. Great. Where are you going? I don't know yet. Well, how can you plan? If you're going to the North Pole or you're going to Miami, you're going to pack differently.
Yeah. Well, and it's like in my business, people are like, oh, I want to make more money and pay less in taxes. Okay. Well, like to what end? To what? You know what I mean? Like we need more context here. We need more specifics, right? Like, and that's the thing is people have a vague idea of what they want, but it's just this vague idea. And if you have this vague idea, you're never going to hit a target. You don't know what it is.
Well, take the Paden promise. I promise I will know what I want to do with my life.
Yeah, and then go get it, and then go spend the rest of your time going to get it, because what else better do you have to do?
Exactly. And you have more time than you think you do. Yes. Wow. Well, to our amazing guest, Paden Squires, thank you. And to our listeners, belongers, stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember, you belong. This is Dia Irby with Here Where You Belong podcast, signing off. Bye now.
Thanks for tuning in to Here Where You Belong. We hope today's episode has inspired you to embrace the beauty of belonging in your own life. Remember, no matter where you are or where you're headed, you have a place where you truly belong. Join us again next time for more insightful conversations and heartwarming stories. Until then, stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember that you belong.